I'm Ansley Cole. I'm out in the Germain Robin aging cellar, and I want to talk a little bit about this glass that I have here, which is a Roederer Pinot Noir that we distilled in 2001. And one of the advantages that we have compared to most European distilleries and all distilleries that I know of in cognac is that we ferment our wines in stainless steel tanks. And that means we have a lot more control than they have. And one of the controls we have is that we can introduce yeast that we think are going to be particularly good at changing our wines into things that are good to distill. And we've settled mostly on a couple of champagne yeasts. And so, what we do is we, get the juice and it's in the tank, and then we, use a champagne yeast. And the grapes we get from Roederer, we use their yeasts, okay? They're very good, and we pick a little bit early. This is a little earlier than the grapes we pick ourselves for our own thing, because this is the same wine that the Roederer uses to make champagne out of. And so it's at about 10.5 or 11%, which means that we have to distill it differently. Okay, at 10 and 11, you get a lot of concentration. You're at 10%, I say, compared to 13 or 14%. You get a lot more concentration. That means you have to be a little more careful with your heads. We take our heads very conservatively with this, especially with this one, which I'll talk about in a minute. But then at the end, we get to recover a little more tails. The product is so clean, and it's still bringing things out that we want down at the, down around 59% alcohol. But what we did with this was we let it sit. We said to Roederer, use wild yeast. In other words, we let it ferment naturally. We left it at a slightly higher temperature, and we just let whatever yeast was floating around in the air of Anderson Valley was allowed to do this. And you can taste it. It's just like, it smells wild. Feral is the word I like to use. There's this sort of, especially in the mouth, it's just like, bam, it just blows up. There's this sort of explosive, it's not harsh, it's not too powerful, it's just like there's just so much going on. It sort of tastes, these yeasts had to fight for a living instead of being cultured somewhere in a laboratory, and you can kind of taste that in the product.